Hi everyone, I'm Matt and welcome back to Toylytics, where we take a look at the analytical side of toy collecting. The calendar has changed to another quarter here, so it is time for us to start looking at the secondary market update for the Cosmic Legion's Hvalkatar Book 1 sales over the second quarter of 2024. Just as a little reminder about which figures were in this wave, you can see the picture right there. Little history. This wave was the first wave that was offered in the Cosmic Legion's line. Went up for pre-order in fall of 2021. Direct sales were delivered to customers almost 2 years later, right around the end of June 2023. And then retailers were able to sell their inventory as of late July 2023. So these figures have been on sale in the secondary market for a little over a year at this point when we're recording this video. So let's move over to the data, start taking a look and see what has been selling. So I have a little confession to make. Cosmic Legions, I failed a little bit in my data collection. As you can see in quarter one, I didn't collect data from February and March, and eBay only goes back 3 months. So by the time I realized it, I couldn't really start collecting that data that I had missed. So unfortunately, I don't have a complete data set anymore. I do apologize about that. It really eats me up inside being a data person like I am, but you know, it is what it is. So it'll become less and less important that I don't have that data as we move forward in time. But I definitely have all of the data from quarter 2 of 2024, and you can see it right there. So not surprising, you know, a lot of figures were selling in quarter 3 2023 when the line had just been released, and now we're seeing in most cases half or even a little bit less than half of those units being sold in the second quarter of 2024. Looking at it from the perspective of sales per month per figure, it's kind of interesting to see these spikes here, right? So here was the initial wave. We had a lot of sales in July and August of 2023. Then the Hvalkatar Book 2 wave, I believe, was distributed right around November and December of 2023. And then we saw the Outpost Axios wave start to be shipped out to customers around April and May of 2024, and notice another spike. So it seems like Cosmic, at least as far as this data is concerned, really, at least as far as wave 1 figures, I haven't really looked at wave 2 yet. That'll be the next video. But for wave 1 figures, it seems like people are kind of remembering those figures exist when a new wave is actually in hand. People are going back and looking for those older figures, as we're seeing with these very pronounced spikes, which is kind of, you know, an interesting data pattern that we wouldn't necessarily expect. At least I wouldn't have. Looking at May overall, it looks like Ziri Inspire, a little surprising, but she was the most popular figure as far as number of sales in this spike. And then we saw the Sphexian Prison Guard with 10 sales, and, you know, Kragnar and Hvalkatar, etc., with 10 in sales respectively. Okay, so moving forward, looking at price. Hey, it's a new quarter. I've added a little bit to the graph here. So the gray bar represents the average. So overall, these are ranked by average. So High Wardenslog is the highest average price. And by the way, these prices are only in quarter 2 of 2024. So this is the most recent April through June sales, right? I didn't want to look at sales actual prices for the averages back in July and August of 2023. I figured that was too far away in the past. This is the most recent prices, which I think are the most relevant to us today. Okay, so High Wardenslog, highest price. Now, if you look at the dots, you can see that the blue dot represents the minimum price, and the orange dot, I think that's orange, represents the maximum price. Okay, so I thought it would also be interesting to see both the average, but then also the spread of the min and the max for each one of these figures. You can see, for instance, the Relic of the Lost Cronin head and Cosmic Key, this is the gold one, very tight range here, right? So pretty much everything was selling between 25 or so and, you know, 26.76 or so. But then, you know, Slog, you can see that somebody got them for 74, and then somebody else paid 110 for theirs. Okay, so Looking at prices overall, we can see Kragnar next highest price, 65. But again, like the common theme for all of these, and we'll see this in the actual sales data in the next sheet, is all of these are selling below retail price. High Warden Slog, $120 price. The average is, under 100. Kragnar, $80 price, retail price. Average right now is 65 or so. Right? Hvalkatar, Hvalkatar, and the Sphexians all selling for $60 retail. Hvalkatar, 53. Sphexian Prison Guard, 50. Block Commander, 47.57, right, which is lower even than the Horseman price. The Horseman price for all three of those was $48. So the Sphexian Block Commander is even selling for less than those. Then we had sort of the regular figures: Hvalkatar, Gravering, Xerian Spire, and Vorga. Those were the $50 retail price figures, all of them selling for less than retail on average. Vorga even selling, that 20% off basically on average. And then we had the three builders. The retail price there is 45, kind of high for those. I think a lot of people have said that. And we have the Tusk Sentry, 38.71. The Engineer, somebody paid close to retail price for, or above, I should say, retail price for that, 49.50, but on average 38. And the Science Officer, 37. Okay, Gold Cronin Head, about 26. Tusk Hands Pack, 25. Weapons Pack, Heroes Hands Pack, etc. Right, so those are a little bit less interesting. Not a lot of sales on those, as we'll see. So again, common theme is all of these a year out are selling on the secondary market for below retail price, and kind of between, for the most part, the Horseman direct price and retail price. So let's look individually at the figures themselves and their sales. Notice, we have my gap of shame here, where I wasn't collecting data. Again, I collected it for Mythic Legions and for Figure Obscura, but I didn't get it for Cosmic. I guess I just never opened that file. Things got in the way over that part of the year, so again, I do apologize. But again, we can generally see what's happening in the recent months. Okay, let's first start looking at Slog. Kind of interesting that he's the first out in alphabetical order. But in general, as you can see, in 2023, he was selling for, I would say somewhere between about $85 and $120, and when he first came out, he was selling much higher than that, like upwards of $140 and $150. Now, though, in second quarter of 2024, basically everything is between about $90 or so and right around 113. So right around that average of 100 is basically what he's been selling for. All right, let's move on to Kragnar. Take a look at him. A lot of these have this sort of outlier here that's got a really large price. Maybe that was an international sale or something like that tends to have a very high price in that case, because it includes shipping, and sometimes that shipping can be $50 for some of these heavy figures. Anyway, looking at the most recent sales, as you can see, again, that $80 barometer for the retail price, and basically everything is below that. He's selling generally between about $50 upwards of about 70. Now, some are selling above 70, closer to 80, but most of the sales are between $50 and $70. So you should be able to still get him for that price. Hasn't really seemed to start increasing yet. You can start to see too, and this pattern is going to be much more pronounced for some of the other figures. When they were first released, we had a really big spike in the price, and then it really drops significantly very quickly to this sort of retail price level at best. You'll see that a little more when we get to some of the other figures. Okay, Hvalkatar, Grave Ring. This is the one that's a $50 retail price, and as you can see here, a lot of $50 sales. Nothing above $50 selling recently. Generally selling between $40 and $50. So that, but right around that typical 20% price. And the Horseman just announced today that a lot of retailers are allowed to offer a 20% discount on these, so you can still get an Hvalkatar Grave Ring for $40 today from retailers if they still happen to have them in stock. Probably Big Bad does, I think. This is the Hvalkatar one, the more deluxe one, so the price here is $60 at the retail price. And again, other than this one right here, $65.50, generally selling for anywhere between about $44 and $60 for Hvalkatar. Okay. Let's look at both. Well, I'm not going to bother with the let's look at it. Why not? I'm going to do both of these together. These are the Cronin skulls. People were selling those when they first came out, the gold ones especially, that were unique to the initial order from the Horseman. Selling them for $30, $40, $50. Now only 4 sold over the second quarter of 2024, and all of them were about $27 to you can see down here with the silver ones selling for even as low as $15. So the price has really come down on these. I think for anything like this, if you can't get one for a good price when it first comes out, the general consensus would be that the price typically starts to go down in the future, because unless it's really popular, people start to forget about it, and those prices really come down after a while. So patience is key there for those sorts of things. All right, the Sphexians, let's pull them both up together. All right, so the darker one is going to be the block commander, and the lighter one here is going to be the prison guard. As you can see here we got the spike, right? The Sphexians were selling right when they first were released for, $65, upwards of $95 or $97 in some cases, but it went down pretty significantly, and right around, mid to late August was selling for $60, the retail price, and it's basically hovered no more than $60 since. Just like Hvalkatar, both of these are going for somewhere between about $40 to $60 on average. A lot of sales though, right? So I think the figures themselves are still popular. It just seems like there's a lot of inventory out there. So eventually, maybe that's going to start going up. The number of sales would suggest that once the inventory dries up, people are going to start wanting those figures and would be willing to pay more for them because there are fewer and fewer of them available. But I don't think we're at that point yet. I think there's still a lot of supply in the market. All right, let's look at the 3 builders together. Again, because they all kind of have the same pattern as well. Again, you got that spike right at the beginning in July. Some of these were selling for, between $50 and $70. Now, as you can see, here's the $45, and most of them are selling for much less than $45 in this case, right? So the $35.99, $36 is the 20% off, and a lot of these are selling even between $30 and $36. And again, lots of sales for these. So these figures again are in demand for sure, but again, just like with these Sphexians, lots of supply seems to be on the market. Okay, if you want to look at the hands pack, let's look at both hands packs together here. So we'll keep both of those. Again, these were selling at the beginning for over $30 in other cases. Now, very few sales. I think a lot of people have forgotten about the hands, and the prices are generally, below $20. So the one of the Tusk packs sold for $31.49, which I think is close to retail. I think the retail on that's about $32. But not a lot of sales. I think a lot of people have forgotten about those. All right, moving on, we have Vorga. So we'll look at her again. We have that kind of outlier sale here. We have the spike at the beginning. She was selling between $60 and $80, but now not even selling at $50, right? Hasn't sold at $50 since January. She's generally between about $36 and $45 or so, right? So, and $36 is these are used, but that's the Horseman price. That's below the Horseman price because they were $37 figures straight from the Horseman. So generally, if you're looking for a new figure, between $40 and $45 for Vorga. Again, really popular figure. I think a lot of people like her, but again, not really rising in value per se. I think just because there's so many of them. This is the weapons pack again. Similar pattern to what we've seen with the others. Big price in 2023 when it was released. Many sales between $30 and $36, but now pretty much selling, the max was $25 all the way down to $16.50 or so. That's at $15.90, so about $16. So anywhere between $16 and $25 for the weapons pack. And then finally, bringing up the rear, we did see a lot of sales, but let's see how the prices are concerned for Xerion Spire. So Xerion Spire, again, selling closer to $50 than Vorga, so she's got, kind of maintained somewhat closer price to that retail, but again, lots of sales between $40 and $50 for Xerion Spire. So that is our overview of the most recent sales data for the Hvalkatar Book 1 wave of Cosmic Legions. I think it's a very consistent message here that the data is showing us that these figures are still available in the secondary market, even if a lot of smaller retailers are out of stock. They're not going to go up in price before bigger places like Big Bad sell out of them. So if you still want them, it's still definitely possible to get them below retail price if you look on the secondary market, or maybe with the 20% off sale that the retailers are offering. So we'll take a look at in the next video Hvalkatar Book 2, see how those are looking, and then I'll post Axios after that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, etc., as everyone always says. And please let me know if you have any other suggestions for data that you'd like to see or types of analysis you would like to see. You can email me at toylytics@gmail.com with those suggestions. I look forward to talking with you, or just leave them in the comments of the video. Look forward to seeing you again next time, and take care.